elijale ngihleti nalo namuhla ngumduduzi Beethoven Dlamini obhaleke nathi incwadi leti la embi kwami the first book Destiny is Achievable ekhuluma dona leti nizabade ukuthi lokho lesikufunako singakwenda sikuphumelele singemaswati and the journey of being lele khulumisa lokuthi ungumuntu uticonze utati lokuthi uniketwe emagunya njengoba sakhiwe ngemfanekiso kaNkulunkulu and the other one Destiny Consciousness which is his latest book ngikhanzeke kubalekile ukuthi lijale ngingakhulumisana nalo njengoba ke liyabonakala lokuthi selinemthombo welwadi lotithinzako letinzaba lesikhulumisako namuhla Dlamini okunene angikubingelele ngikuphela thuba lekuvusela emaswati namuhla
siyavusela Mr Pires sivusele nase Steven sonke semaswati siyajabula kubasehlelweni namuhla
yeah ngikumbese singayibhocota le interview ngosi ngalo ukuthi lokunenge sengivele ngushilo lokufaka ekhathi lento ukuthi we first need to be effective as individuals then our community can be effective then our country can be effective. I think that sums up what we are going to be talking about
very very true John Mr Pires, because everything that we are going to do first, that's everything that a country can do, it starts with the individuals. Then as a collective we do something, but first and foremost, the most important thing, how are people in that country, how are you placed, how are you positioned as an individual, such that now as a collective we can do something that is great.
The period lesikhuluma kuyo, which is the period of I'm heading just shortly to the year 2020, which is the new year. A lot of people are excited. They are saying it's going to be a new year, things are going to start afresh, I'm going to do great things, but there's got to be a starting point, and I know a lot of people are heading there. Some of them are going to be repeating cycles and ways of doing things that have been doing for the past 10 years, and I think this is a very critical conversation at this particular point in time.
It is a critical conversation. Why? Because the mind always deceives us. It tells us that the future is going to be better, but it does not tell us what it is that we need to do now for the future to be better. So a lot of us are looking forward to the coming year. A lot of us are looking forward because that is the trick of the mind. A lot of us are looking forward to 2020 and we believe that 2020 is going to be different. All my dreams are going to come to pass. But now the mind does not tell us that in order for that to happen, there's something that we need to do now. Why? 2020, the 1st of January 2020 is not going to be different from today. It's just going to be the same as today. What's going to be different is in the fact that now we calendar saying 2020, but now what can really change your life is you starting doing things differently, starting from today, not from next year, because next year is just another year.
The sun will still rise.
The sun will still rise. We're still going to experience the same problem. If anything, things might even get tougher because of the challenge. If you don't change, because of the challenges that we're experiencing in life or in our world today.
Of course. The year 2020, I think, is exciting nonetheless, more so because I think it is also a positive, the fact that people are looking forward to a better year. But I'm happy that you are mentioning that there are certain things that you need to do, change the way you've been doing things, and in your engagement, in your facilitations or training, where you sit one-on-one with groups or individuals, in a nutshell, what have you found to be the major thing that holds someone or people back in terms of making sure that they achieve their dreams or their goals, or they are successful or effective in the area where they are supposed to be? I know we are going to be touching on a couple of issues here today, but just in a nutshell, you've spoken to people. What have you noticed or deduced?
One thing that really holds a lot of people back is their belief system. Their belief system is such that they do not see themselves, although they say they want to be great, although they say they want to be successful, but their belief system, how they are wired, is that they don't see themselves as such. They don't see themselves as being that which they say they want. Because it is one thing to say something, it is something else to be something. In our last conversation, the previous time, I said, in life we do not get that which we want, we get that which we are. So that which you are it speaks to the belief system. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the future? What do you believe about life? And that which you believe about yourself is going to determine that which you are going to do. It does not matter what you may say. We say a lot of things, we believe we say a lot of things, but what really truly matters is our belief system. If you can change the way that you truly believe about yourself and about life, then things are going to change. And secondly, I think we are going to talk about that. Then you go out and you give yourself permission to be the person that you see yourself as. Because a lot of us, we wait for other people to give us the permission to be that which we want. And because of that, A lot of us grow gray hair, and we're still waiting for people to do that.
But it's human nature to be validated. We feel good when people do that. When they tell me, Mr. Pires, you are doing so well, or you look so good, or congratulations on your achievement of this and that. It's what drives us. Are you saying probably it's wrong for us to actually?
It is not wrong. Every person alive wants to be validated. We want to be told that we are doing a great job. Yeah. But then the most important thing is not you receiving that only, but it is for you growing, because the purpose of life is growth. The purpose of life is expansion. If you are not expanding, you are receiving these compliments, you are being told that you are great, but you are not expanding, you are not growing. Because I normally say the purpose of life is evolution. Things are always moving, evolving.
They never stay the same.
They never stay the same, but for you to tap into that, you need to put yourself in a position that will allow you to experience evolution and growth, such that now the compliments become fuel for your next step. For your next step, you do not sit down and do one thing because you enjoy people giving you compliment all the time.
As far as the belief systems you are talking about are concerned, I find this very unfortunate, because you grow up and you realize that you are holding a certain belief system and which you have not conditioned yourself to, and I think this is an important issue we need to discuss in as far as saying, how do we now detach or dismantle this belief system? Because sometimes you grow up and you realize that it's this belief system, but it is not myself that conditioned myself to this belief system. It's the environment, it's the people around me, it's basically everything. How do we dismantle the belief systems we have, or even detach as individuals from some of the belief systems which we realize are probably detrimental to our growth?
And unfortunately, you would be you'd be very, very lucky, if I would say that, to know the belief systems that you have, because unfortunately a lot of us have belief systems that we are not aware of. Because we find ourselves doing things in a particular, and we are not aware why we do those things in that particular way. I'll give you an example. A lot of us grow up being told that money is the root of all evil, and that is a belief system that we have. And it is subtle. We are not aware that we have that. But we've been told over and over and over and over again that money is the root of all evil. Guess how excited you will be to pursue something that will give you money. You're never going to be that excited. So now we've carried a lot of belief systems that we are not aware of. We do not know that we believe we are the people that we are, or we've got this belief system. And that is why I always talk about awakening. That is why I always talk about you getting into a place where you become conscious, because now when you become conscious and you now start connecting to something that is bigger than yourself, then now that overrides all the belief systems that you may have, because you do not know all the belief systems that you have. There's a reason why you do the things that you do. There's a reason why I talk like the way that I talk. There's so much that has gone into me that has produced the person that I am. So now if I can say to myself, I'm going to sit down and identify all the belief systems that I have, it will take 1,000,000 years, because there are so many beliefs that I have. But now the most important thing, awaken to the fact that you are made up of a lot of belief system. And because change starts with you being aware that there's something wrong with me, or there's something that has produced the person that I am, and now because of that I start desiring a different path for myself.
I think I wanted to have this conversation with you today simply because of the period that we are in. A lot of people are sitting today, and some have been sitting, some will still do it, on their phones, on their iPads, on their diaries. They will craft a new charter for the year 2020. They want new things to happen in their lives. They are looking back, some are disappointed, some with regret, and some with excitement. I want us to talk about the issue of being effective to the point where, because a lot of us are envious of Mduduzi, for instance. I'm just making an example. He seems to be doing great. This one seems to be doing great. But what really is this greatness in the first place? Who gives someone the permission to be great?
You give yourself the permission to be great, and greatness is not. I do not define greatness according to how other people define greatness, because a lot of people think that greatness is you being popular, you being known, you being receiving an applause wherever you go. That is maybe greatness for other people, but that is not the gist of what greatness is. Greatness is you Like I defined success on the previous greatness is you waking up every morning and honoring the voice of your essence and going out there and doing things that are in line or that are aligned with who you are, or things that are in resonance with who you are in your essence. When you do that, it does not matter if other people can say what you are doing is small, but when you're doing that, you are tapping into greatness, because now you are connecting to self, you are connecting to the God in you and the God that you are, and you are able to manifest results that are in line, because well, we were all placed here on earth for a purpose. There's a reason why you are here, and if you live according to that purpose, you are experiencing greatness. It does not matter whether you're making money or you're not making money, but if every day you live according to the person that you are, or according to what you believe to be your purpose of being, you are experiencing greatness.
And I think someone is saying, I hear you, Mr. Dlamini, but I think some people are born to be great, and some others not, Is that true?
It's not true. Everyone was born to be great. If we say there is God in every person and every person is a God, not the God is a God, it means that every person was born to be great. All of us were born with the potential to become anything that we desire, anything that we want. We were born to become whatever it is that you may think of. But now, the secret is you giving yourself the permission and taking the first step towards becoming that which you see in your mind, that vision, that picture that you have in your mind, that you see about yourself. That is where the secret is. Otherwise, every person was born to be great. Yeah. But the level of our greatness may not be the same, or maybe the level of the results that we produce because of the path that we take in life may not be the same. Some people are going to do phenomenal things, other people are going to do small things, but in their smallness, there is greatness.
Yeah, but I think then that also speaks to some of the belief systems that we've been holding. If you tell yourself that other people are meant to be great and I am not meant to be great, that's a belief system.
That's a belief system,
which will hinder you.
True.
How can we? I just want us to try and talk briefly to a fundamental issue, which I think has affected a lot of people to achieve their goals or their dreams. It's the way they look at themselves in terms of the environment where they come from. And I know a lot of people have been shackled by poverty, for instance. It's like chains in their hands and in their feet. They can't move because of those things. And you look at this person, you see they want to do something, but probably the environment where they come from or where they are at that particular moment is the one holding that person. Is it possible to rise from the ashes of poverty to become great as we are articulating today?
It is possible. It is possible because, like I always say, the starting point is for you to see that there's something wrong with my environment, and then you give yourself the permission to do something that is different. So unfortunately, a lot of us, we live in a survival context. The context in which we live is a context which says we must be surviving. Every day we do stuff or things that will ensure our survival. We do not live in a context that is expansive, like the context of purpose. I always say, when you live in a context of survival, where your life is all about survival, everything about you is about survival. There are goals, there are things that you can never set. There are some goals that you can never set, or experiences that you will never have, because though the context in which you live your life will determine the type of goals that you can set. There are goals that I'm able to set because of the context that I serve, which is standing for people's greatness. Today I'm here because of that context. So now, if you want to change your life, you must look at the context that you are serving, because you are who you are because of the context that you're serving, like we said the other time. So if you want different results, change the context or create a different context for yourself that will allow you to be that person. And you are talking about people who are born in an environment or in a context of poverty. How do you change that? The first thing, you need to be aware that this is your context, and now begin to demand more from yourself, and also start to align yourself with things that will enable you now to see yourself differently. Because as long as you are living in that context in which you found yourself, nothing's going to change. Start shifting and bringing in people in your life that will enable you now to see things differently, and people that will now speak to the greatness in you and allow you to see yourself differently.
Yeah, especially now that you are saying you need to demand more out of yourself to say, how do I rise this? I'm reminded of a quote by Bill Gates where he says, it is not your fault that you are born poor, but if you die poor, it is your fault.
Definitely.
You know, and I think really that confirms what you are saying. But now you also speak when you train people about creating an enabling environment or an enabling context. How do I do that to make sure that I function now? Yes, the reality here is that there is poverty all around me, but how can I rise above that by creating an enabled environment?
The first thing, I always go back, it's awareness. Then the second thing is now looking within and seeing what it is that I want for myself. In other words, you start looking at the picture, you start having a picture of the person that you want to be. We're talking about vision right there. You need to have a vision that is bigger than where you are right now. Because if the vision that you have for yourself, or if that which you see as your future self is the same as the person that you are right now, you are not going to be inspired, you are not going to be motivated, you are not going to be interested in anything that you are doing. But you need to start developing a picture of yourself, see yourself in the future different from the person that you are currently, and now put in place things that will enable you to move towards that which you see yourself being. If you are living in an environment of poverty, see yourself differently and now start taking steps on a daily basis that will enable you now to be the person that you see yourself as. In other words, allow your consciousness to expand such that your reality now begins to change.
Yeah, but your consciousness and your awareness can never be alive with buses and cars moving all around with noises, you know. And I'm bringing this deliberately because when you say you need to be aware and create an environment, you know, I think for me this speaks to the issue of solitude, you know, where you need to separate yourself from the crowd. And because we live in an environment today, we want these things, but we are busy, we are all over the place, you know, sometimes even pursuing things that are meaningless, you know. Can you speak about the importance of solitude?
Solitude is important because in solitude you find a lot of things. In silence you hear. Where in the hustle and bustle of life, you really do not hear because your mind is active. But where I normally say, if you really want to hear God is heard in silence. When there is silence, then chances of when you create an environment to hear, you will hear. But if the environment to hear is not created, you will not hear. So solitude is important, but then we cannot limit God to a certain way of doing or in a certain way of being, because now God can be experienced in every situation, whether there is noise, whether there is silence, or in solitude, or where you are with other people. But the most important thing, you need to develop a relationship with yourself. You need to develop a relationship with your spirit, such that now wherever you may find yourself, whether in the worst places or in a place where there is so much noise, but you can hear that voice within. You can hear God. Whether you found yourself working in a factory where there's a lot of noise, but because now you have developed a relationship with that inner voice, you can hear.
Yeah, but I think also physically taking time away can also help.
It's very important. It's important to reduce your stress levels. It is important to allow you to think clearly, because where you are always busy, you cannot. It is important for you to also connect with yourself, because if you are always around people, you never develop a meaningful relationship with yourself.
Yeah, and sometimes the voices we hear are not loud voices like the hustle and bustle of life that you mentioned. You know, it's the people around us. You know, you will meet them occasionally and frequently. They'll be telling you things that are counterproductive to that which you believe you can achieve in life. You know, what is the importance of separating yourself, of identifying those voices, and then separating yourselves from people who pull you down, you know, because there's quite a lot, you know. Some of these people may not even be our friends, you know. They talk because we share the same environment in our workplaces and buses and so on and so forth. They talk about how bad the economy is, how we cannot succeed in this country, in this economy, how this community is a poor, you know, all those kind of voices, you know, and how we don't have money and how we will always not have money, you know. You sit with these people, yet you are trying to build a belief system that's going to propel you forward, you know. how do I deal with these voices? They are all over the place, and I can't just close my ears to
You
these voices.
cannot close your ears, and the greatest place that we can be as human beings is being in that domain of power where we can supersede circumstance, whatever circumstance is. So now what you're talking about is very important, and what I just said, that domain of power where we can supersede circumstance is provided for by vision. Once you have a vision for yourself, once you have a vision for your life, the vision will tell you now the people that you need to be spending time around. And also the vision will determine your behavior. The vision will determine what it is that you need to do, your actions on a daily basis. So once you are clear about what it is that you want to achieve, or what it is that you want to manifest in your life, then that will tell you that there are now certain places where you cannot go to. There are now some people that you should not be around, because that is true. Wherever you go, you find that there's a lot of negative people. Actually, there's more negative people than positive people, and it's actually even difficult to find positive people these days. So now it is important that now you listen to what the vision says. If that which you see as your future self says you need to be in a certain place around certain people, then you need to do that and honor that.
Yeah. So I think it is important now that we reinforce the significance of having a vision, because the way we are putting it, it's like people live aimlessly. You wake up, and then at the end of the day or end of the year, like it is the end of the year, you look back and you say this has been a bad year, but it is simply because you didn't have a vision. Can you just try and reinforce that, and how a vision should look like for someone to be able to, and how to sustain that vision basically?
The Bible says, without a vision, people live carelessly, or they cast off restraint. In other words, they become unrestrained. So now, if you do not have something that towards which you are going to live carelessly, and everything will go with you. Your decision making is going to be compromised, because there's nothing now that towards which you are working. And I normally say a lot of people talk about vision, but do they really have visions? Because there's a difference between having a vision and hallucinations. A lot of people have hallucinations, and they think that because their hallucinations are visions. Why do I say that? For a vision to be a vision is static. It's something that you work towards. It doesn't move. It doesn't move because of your circumstances. But a hallucination is something that is always moving, something you are working towards, and it's always moving. But a vision is something that is static and something that you work towards. A vision is something that is out of your comfort zone that you work towards. Because now a lot of us, we think we have visions, but those are hallucinations, because those things that we are working towards, they keep moving, they keep shifting depending on our circumstances. But that is not how a vision is. Once you have that mental picture of yourself, of the future that you want to manifest, then you work towards that. And every day you work towards that. Maybe we're going to see how you manifest a vision and what it is that is important for you to manifest a vision, like setting goals, like having plans, like committing to whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life.
In the Bible, we hear how God talks to Jeremiah. He says, I set you apart, when he tells him that I knew you before you were even formed, and I set you apart, or I ordained you. And I'm particularly bringing this up to try and find out if we are all set apart like Jeremiah was. Have I been set apart? Have you been set apart? Do we have individual purposes as people? I think the issue of purpose can also maybe try and help us to identify where we have been missing the connection of, the real meaning of our existence in this planet. Is there something as my purpose, your purpose, his purpose, everyone's purpose?
There is. Everyone that is alive has got a role to play in existence. Everyone that is alive has got a contribution that that person ought to make in existence. So by virtue of that, every person has got a purpose, because if there's a contribution that you need to make in life, if there's a contribution that you need to make in existence, it means that there's a role that you need to play. And because that role is your purpose, because a lot of us think that purpose, true, some people may say their purpose is given by someone else. But purpose is what you choose. It's the contribution that you want to make to life. That contribution that is aligned with the person that you are. That contribution that is aligned with your essence. I normally say there's no one whose purpose is a CEO. No one was born to be a CEO. But then that which you do because of your purpose may lead you to you becoming a CEO. But no one was born to be a CEO. I wasn't born to be a coach. But what I feel within me is the inclination that I have is that of supporting people, is that of caring for people, is that of ensuring that other people experience themselves differently. And because of that, I choose now that how am I going to express that such that it becomes something that I do on a daily basis because I find joy and peace in doing it. So it is very important. Purpose, every person has got something to contribute in existence. And if you can find that which you can contribute to life, if you can find that which you can contribute to other people's life, then you have found your purpose. Because especially if that which you want to do is in resonance with the person that you are, you have found your purpose. Because purpose is not about us doing the same thing, or it's not about us doing what I'm doing. There's different purposes for different people.
Of course. And I think my last question before we take a break, Duduzi, the importance of identifying purpose, of living your life in purpose, And I'm saying this because I know a lot of people are out there doing certain things and they are unhappy. They are ineffective in what they are doing. They are not even productive, because they are doing something that is not in line with who they are in terms of skills, talents, this and that, How important is it for someone to realize what they have inside that can contribute to whatever purpose they try and connect to? Because I'm making an example. Someone is probably carrying a guitar today, trying to sing in the streets, but whenever people pass by, they run away because what this person is doing out there is not in line with the skill set of this person.
It is very important because creativity will always be aligned with you, who you truly are. For you to be creative in a certain thing, for me to be able to write these books, there has to be alignment. I cannot write engineering books because I'm not an engineer and it doesn't resonate with me. But for me to produce the books that I write, for me to do what I do, for me to sit down and coach people, I have to do that because it is in resonance with who I am. So a lot of people live their lives pursuing other things that are not in alignment with who they are in their essence. And as a result, a lot of people are unhappy. A lot of people are depressed because they wake up to jobs that do not motivate them. They wake up to jobs that do not inspire them. They wake up to environments that really do not mean anything to them. And because of that, they do not show up in life in their greatness. They show up as lower beings because everything that they do on a daily basis, they're pursuing the mundane, they're pursuing things that do not excite them, and they cannot show up in a great way. And all the opportunities that you want for yourself are connected to your purpose. Everything that you want. I normally say, if you want to experience God's provision in your life, you need to be in your purpose, because when you are in your purpose, then that which is meant for you, that which is meant to sustain you in your purpose will be attracted to you. But if you are in a wrong address, then that which you are doing, you want, is not going to come to you.
Wrong location. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are just trying to we are going to look at how to manifest a vision. So nalo ke lephupho ulimanifesta njani, ubona njani ke umphumela walo. Lephupho siyakhuluma ngezinto lethiwa ekhathi getting out of your comfort zone, the issues of integrity and commitment, issues of planning, issues of discipline, and we do hope that by the end of the interview, all these things will be making sense to you as you plan for your 2020. kahle ke emakhaya le hlelo leli ke lesikhathi vele lesingena ngaso isikhathi lapho khona ukhanza ukuthi ke maswati ahleti phansi ngishilo masivula lo hlelo lokuthi awu isicelo sami ukuthi sithi sihleti phansi sidla dijolojolo sibe sikhulumisa naleti indzaba leti mnanzi ati kude into lebhlungu njengakubona simo simile singagucuki uthi uyasibuka lesinye eceleni uyabona ukuthi siyagucuka bese mawubuka la singagucuki khona uyabona ukuthi lokungagucuki kwaso kubangwa nginaku ngicele lokho ke maswati amahle ukuthi asesikhulumise leti indzaba leti especially for young people. These people have an unlimited potential to achieve so many great things and do great things for their families, for their communities, and for the country as well. Mabuka statistics ayasitshela ukuthi population leningi elivela kangwane bantfu labasha. Over 60% of our population in this country is young people. Where are these young people? Are they effective where they are? And isikhathini lesiningi ukhanza ukuthi ke seba resorted to ema methods lagabi in terms of dealing with the pressures, the depression and all the disappointments they are facing. It could be drugs, it could be crime, it could be many other issues langahambi kahle. And by this conversation here today, we are saying probably if you listen and listen with intent, you are going to come out with information that can transform your life in the year 2020. Dlamini kunene isikhulumisa ke indzaba lana ukuthi ngike ngabuda ngathi bochaza indzaba ye vision ukuthi I vision yini, and I like the fact that ukuthi the vision is static ayisuki despite the reality or the situations around me. Iyona solo email as long as you are working towards it, you know, and believe and commit yourself to. I said, how do you sustain the vision and how do you manifest the vision? And we do want to talk about some of the nuggets there. And I think planning and goal setting are one of those things. Maybe we can start with goal setting.
I think it is important that a vision is a static position, so it does not change. And it can be very, very abstract because a vision is a picture of a place you want to get to, and that picture can be abstract and be bigger than where you are right now. In other words, it can be intimidating. You want to get to that place. Let me make an example. You want to become a billionaire. It's not a good vision, but let's say that as an example. You want to become a billionaire. That becomes intimidating because now, where do I start? What do I do to become that? But now you need something that will connect you to that vision. Now you need to set goals. That will, because goals now will connect you to that which you want to realize in your life. So it's very important that once you have a vision, this is who I see myself as being. Now, what is it that I need to put in place on a daily that will enable me to realize success on a daily basis, or that will draw me closer and closer to that which I see as a vision, or which I see as a picture of myself in the future. So now you need to set goals, because a lot of us, we've got these visions. We see ourselves becoming big authors or whatever, but there are no goals on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis that we are working towards that will enable us. Because goals, if you are faithful to your goals and if you fulfill on your goals, automatically the vision gets fulfilled, because now a goal is that which is going to connect you to that. So it is important that you set goals.
It's a step-by-step.
It's a step-by-step
towards that.
It's a step-by-step. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a step-by-step, a cumulative process. And every day you achieve, you know that there are 12 months in a year. What is it that I'm going to do on a month-to-month basis, such that by December I have 1.12? How do I save $100 in every month, such that by Lokuzana by the year end I have 1.2? So what is it that you need to put in place, and what it is, and after you have set a goal, what is it that you need to do such that that goal is achieved? That is where we talk about planning now. You need to have plans.
Maybe before we talk about planning, goal setting is important, but I think if it is done incorrectly, it is not going to manifest anything. Someone is going to say, I will do this in January, I will do this in February, I will do this in March, and they will go to their sleep. Is that goal setting? We read in the book of Habakkuk about the importance of writing down the vision. Why is it important for us when we do goal setting that we write these things down?
Very, very important. Number one, for self-accountability. If you have written something down, you can be accountable. And secondly, most important, once you write something down, it speaks to something in you. In other words, it evokes something. It evokes I always talk about the law of attraction. It evokes the law of attraction. Suddenly, some things, because now you've written it down, some things get attracted to you, because now that which you have put down has to happen. So it evokes the law of attraction. You start to operate different and you start to have different experiences. But most importantly, we talk about people setting vision. It is important that when you know goals, it is important that when you set goals that are 20% out of your comfort zone, not more. Because if you set goals that are way more than 20%, then they become threatening and it becomes impossible for you to achieve. So set goals that are manageable, set goals that are smart, set goals that you can truly realize, but those goals must be 20% out of your comfort zone. It shouldn't be a big stretch, because if it's a big stretch, you are setting yourself up for failure and you are not going to realize those goals.
You must set goals where you harvest those smaller fruits day by day, so that at least you get motivated. I think that's what you're trying to say.
And as you are doing that, you are still inspired to demand more from yourself. Do not set goals that are not going to force you to demand more of yourself. Set goals that will stretch you. Set goals that will make you jump out of your comfort. Set goals that will give you sleepless nights. Set goals that will wake you up early in the morning. Set goals that will say to you, I need to meet someone, I need to go to this person, I need to travel to this place, because now those are the goals that will truly change your life like night and day.
I wish when you were saying that you could have said set goals and write them down. Set goals, write them down, because I think that's where most of us have been lacking. We want these things, but it is only wishful, if I may use that word. And the issue of planning, I think planning is underrated. Because I think you need a skill to plan and be effective.
You do need a skill, and that skill is developed over a period. You do not develop that skill overnight. The more you do it, the more you become better, and the more you do it, the more you understand yourself, your potential, and you develop a certain relationship with yourself and a certain style of manifesting certain things. So the more you plan and you fail, the more you plan and you succeed, the more you plan and you fail, you develop a certain skill and you develop a certain understanding of self that and you now tend to understand your power and appreciate your power, the power to manifest, because now you do this thing over and over again. And planning is not something that you do once and plans keep changing. I normally say we do not write our plans on rocks, but we write them on sand. Because if you've written them on rock, then you'll have a difficult time. Now you'll have to be forced to do something that you see that it's not working. But if you write them on sand, you can quickly erase them and do something else. And that is very important, because now your plans must be written on sand, not on stone. In other words, you keep changing the approach until you get the results that you desire. Never write your plans on stones, but on sand.
Of course. Planning is for me, I don't know, I just wanted to break it down in terms of saying, when you plan, I wanted to make an example. When you plan, for instance, someone wants to come and meet you, they probably want to mentor you. The issue of planning for me speaks to preparing yourself in terms of what you will ask to do when you get there, and maybe do a little bit of research. But I think that's what is lacking. For instance, people want to start businesses, and all they want is that I'm going to go in Joburg and buy these things, come back and sell. The issue of planning there speaks to the logistics around information, everything that basically has to do with the thing that you want.
You can never become an expert in anything until you do it over and over and over again. Planning is important, and you become an expert in planning. You become an expert in self, because you are doing something over and over and over again. So planning is very important, because planning now speaks to the goal. You have a goal, and now you ask yourself, how do I make that goal that I have manifest? What is it that I need to do on a daily basis, such that which I want becomes important? And then now you've got this whole bucket of ideas. This is what I need to do on a daily basis. Then you go further. What is it that is important that I would need to do first? Then I would need to do second. Then I would need to do third, such that I experience that which I want. So that is very important. The prioritization of everything, the ideas that you have. Now you're talking about research. You conduct research. What is it that I need to do to manifest that or to achieve that goal? You do research. You apply the services of coaches. You apply the services of mentors. Then they support you in manifesting that which you want for yourself. But until you write it down, until you have something that you can follow on a daily basis, you cannot manifest those results.
I was listening to one great man at some point, and he was saying to me, the journey of life is like the relay race, you know, where if you need to start running, someone must have passed the baton to you. And I think this is a challenge with, I would say, maybe young people or with our society today. While we are running, no one has passed on the baton to us, you know. And while we may think we are going to get to the finish line, we're already disqualified because we are not carrying the mantle of what is going to cause us to win, you know. And I'm trying to have you reinforce the importance of mentors, of being led as a person, you know, of creating meaningful relationships that are going to add value into your life, because you can't do it on your own, you know. Like, I'm making an example of this scenario, you know. Someone must give you the baton before you continue with the journey, you know. Mentorship as part of planning, as part of goal setting, as part of achieving your vision.
Very important. I always say that you've alluded to that. I always say the journey of life is never meant to be walked alone. If you walk it alone, you make mistake. You do not need to be always reinventing the wheel, because that which you want to achieve, other people have already achieved. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that is has already been. So that which you want to achieve, there are already other people that have achieved. Now, in order for you to reduce that stress and you're getting into a situation where you are always frustrated, engage people who are at the level that where you want to go. Because if you do that, then the mistakes that they committed or that they made, you are not going to make them, because now you have something that is working. You have a plan of action that is working. So coaching, mentorship is very, very important. Unfortunately, because of our ego, or a lot of people's egos, we do not want to engage other people in our journey.
What is this ego? Because it has destroyed a lot of things, and it has held back a lot of people. You can see this person is messing things up, but ego, you know, where does it come from? What does it benefit one to have it?
Ego is an enemy of so many things. Yeah. It's an enemy of life, because a person who is egoistic pushes away the people that can support that person in manifest. You know, ego comes from the mind. The mind, it's an it comes from what your belief system. It comes from, ego is a nasty thing, because if you always go according to your ego, that which you are meant to experience in life, you end up not experiencing. You are saying to me right now, there are a lot of people that are in situations, you know that this person can make it, but because of their ego, they are not experiencing themselves the way that they are supposed to experience themselves. They are not experiencing life the way that they are experiencing life. Now, what is coming between them and the results that they want to create is their ego, their sense of self-importance. This is who I am. I cannot allow other people to tell me. And I talk about that quite a lot in my books and also in my sessions, that, you know, ego is the enemy of success.
Yeah.
You can be successful and egoistic. You can be unsuccessful and still be egoistic.
Ngikhulume ngekuthi masicala lo hlelo kunetinto lesitethwele lesitihutfulako letisibambelelako. I think ego ngilenya letinto lekufuna ukuthi tisale. It's the major one that we must leave behind as we head towards 2020. Commitment and integrity as part of making sure you achieve your greatness, your vision, you know. We want these things, but we are lazy, we are sleeping, we are not diligent, we are not disciplined.
Until you commit to something, nothing moves. Until you make a commitment to set a certain goal, nothing's going to happen. And I'm not talking about 90% commitment. I'm talking about 100% commitment to what you want to manifest in your life. And secondly, most importantly, is integrity. When I talk about integrity, I'm not talking about honesty. I'm talking about you doing what you say you're going to do by the time you said you're going to do it, under all circumstances, with no exception. That is integrity. And to the degree that you have integrity, or to the degree that you are integrous, is to the same degree that you are going to manifest results in your life. The level of your integrity determines the level of the results that you are going to manifest. You cannot falter on integrity and still manifest great things. To the level that you are integrous is to the same level that you are going to manifest in your life.
We are going to talk about comfort zone, and this is the last point, you know, and I'm happy it's the last point, you know. Some people are not depressed, they are not hungry, they are not stressed over anything, they have not experienced any disappointment. But I think because they form part of the masses in this country, they are in comfortable situation. They talk to each other and say, I'm in writing, but bonding, writing, but rent, right, I think we need to challenge ourselves as a country to a higher standard, to a higher level of doing things. And I heard His Majesty's wishes for the country to have billionaires, you were apologetic a little bit when you made that vision. But when are we going to have billionaires in this country? Because people are still striving to be effective in employment, which is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but we are comfortable where we are, whereas we could be challenging ourselves to a higher dimension of success, which can also help the country.
Security is an illusion. A lot of us, we want to experience security in our lives. A lot of us want to be comfortable in our lives. A lot of us believe that if I am getting these results, then that's enough. And comfort zones a comfort zone is an enemy of greatness, because you cannot be great if you still want to be comfortable. If you cannot be experience greatness if you still want to be in a place of comfort. I say in one of my books, greatness is experience in vulnerability. When you go out there and you leave your comfort zone and you step out to something that is bigger than where you are, then you become vulnerable. And when you are vulnerable, that is when you experience greatness. As a nation, we can never experience we are not going to experience 2020 if we still want to be comfortable, if we still have this mindset that things are good, things are fine. We need to push ourselves and be out of our comfort zones. We need to sleep less. We need to party less. We need to do so many things less. But right now, if you can see what is happening in the country, a lot of people are into vibing, a lot of people are into partying. Is that bad? It's not bad, but that must be done in moderation. What is most important is that we need to come out of our comfort zone and begin to demand more of ourselves. Because if we do not do that, the end result is going to be death, or we are going to perish, because the end result of a comfort zone is extinction. So we need to get to a point as a country where we step out of our comfort zone. Let us not be comfortable with earning what we're earning. Let us not be comfortable with what we have, but let us demand more. And more importantly, as I'm closing, let us give ourselves the permission to be really great, to do what other people, to be big players in life, because a lot of us are not big players. Let us give ourselves the permission to be great composers, to be great authors, to be great engineers, to be great this, great that. Let us get out of this mindset of security, because security is an illusion.
And that will take commitment and integrity.
Yes.
And I'm happy with your definition. I wish we could rewind and have you say give us the definition of integrity. Thank you so much once again for coming through and for sharing your experiences and your knowledge around this area. We do hope that even for you, the year 2020 is going to be a fantastic one.
Thank you so much. Integrity is doing what you said you're going to do by the time you said you are going to do it, under all circumstances, with no exception.
With no exception. Ngiyathanza mazwatla amahle, ngathemba ukuthi niyeva tifiso tami njengileto kulomnyaka ekungasido ke tifiso talo msakato eSwatini TV ukuthi eMaswati aphumelele, eMaswati abeke ngula driver kulomnyaka wanga 2020. Sethemba ukuthi nisitakele benkosi lenhle. Lo hlelo loluke liyaphindwa njalo ngabona isihlanu mase kuyi insimbi elishumi nakunye ekuseni. Mangabe kumboli khanze solisekhathi ungalilalela ke ngalesihlanu mase kuyinsimbi elishumi nakunye ekuseni ngalesihlanu. Nginifisela ke kungena lokuhle eminyakeni ke wanga 2020. Ngathemba ukuthi lokho bese kukhuluma mazwatla amahle noma ungayita wakuthatha konke mawuthethe nje kunye kubili lempilo yakho ngeke ize ifanane. Asigcine ke Jehova size sibonane ngalokudala usiphilile. Nisale kahle.